peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Good afternoon, and thank you for finding time to be with us this afternoon. My name is Miriam Ogutu. The show is Diaspora Dispatches, where I get to bring you the latest from the continent of Africa. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are tuned in today. To start us off, we shall start with Nigeria, where Nigerian officials and Nigerian officials and U.S. diplomatic officials met on Monday over the former's ban on Twitter in the country. The suspension of the social media giant has sparked a global outcry over what they call a threat of freedom of expression. Nigeria's Foreign Minister Geoffrey Onyema said Africa's most populous nation is concerned about the platform being used for destabilization. Twitter has yet to officially comment on the ban, but says it was deeply concerned about the suspension of its services in the country and that it would work to restore access for all. At a Monday's meeting, U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, said the diplomatic community was firm in its position. And then we head over to Senegal, and Senegal has successfully joined the growing list of African countries to secure the patent right to manufacture the COVID-19 vaccine next year. The West African country signed a deal on Monday with Belgium biotech group Universals to produce the jabs from next year as the world is rushing to vaccinate billions of people against the pandemic. Africa's initiative to secure the jab has been minimal, given that only 7 million people have been vaccinated. And then we head over to Mali. In Mali on Monday, not only was the interim president, Colonel Goita, sworn in, but the new leader officially named his number 2 just hours later. Opposition leader and former minister Chukwuel Maiga will be the prime minister of Mali's transitional government, according to a decree read on state television. Goita dismissed a civilian interim president Bando and Prime Minister Mokhtar Wane on May 24th after accusing them of failing to consult him about a cabinet reshuffle. Goita Maiga is a former minister and member of the M5 protest movement, which helped to force out former President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta last August. The M5 became sidelined in the army-dominated post-coup administration. Heading back to Nigeria, and Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says Twitter is the social media platform of choice of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Namdi Kanu, to destabilize Nigeria. Mohammed made this known on Monday evening during an interview with the BBC News Africa. The minister, while defending the federal government's Twitter ban, maintained that the regime won't allow any separatists to set the country on fire. He said the government has suspended indefinitely the operations of Twitter in Nigeria because of the persistent use of the platform for activities that are capable of undermining Nigeria's corporate existence. And he continues to say that the government also directed the regulatory agency, which is the National Broadcasting Commission, to immediately commence the process of licensing OTT and social media operations in Nigeria. And the main reason for this is because of the persistent use of Twitter, in particularly for activities that are inimical or to the corporate existence of Nigeria. Mohammed added that IPOB Namdi Kanu in particular uses this platform as his platform of choice to destabilize the country on Twitter. All right. And then we go to the Central African Republic, and France suspended its military cooperation and budgetary aid to the Central African government, terming the Central African Republic complicit in an anti-French campaign. The French military ministry said on Monday that it considered the Central African state as complicit in Russian-led anti-French campaign. In April, 5 French military aid workers who were posted to the Central African Defense Ministry were recalled to Paris. The military training provided to the Central Africa Armed Forces by troops stationed in Gabon has also been suspended, the ministry stated, confirming information from the French news website Mediapart. France, a former colonial power, continues to contribute about 100 soldiers to the European mission EUTM-RCA, which mobilizes nearly 20 soldiers to train the FACA. 10 of the soldiers to participate in the U.S. peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic, MINUSCA, which has 12,000 blue helmets in the region. When prompted by AFP on the budgetary restrictions imposed, the French Foreign Ministry, however, did not reveal any figures. And then we head over to Burkina Faso. The attack that left 160 people dead last weekend in northern Burkina Faso will not go unpunished. That is according to Burkinabe Prime Minister Christopher Dabire, who promised that on Monday, the governor of the Sahel region, Colonel Salfo Kobore, banned the use of 2- and 3-wheelers in the area until further notice. Burkina Faso, a Sahel country bordering Mali and Niger, has been facing increasingly frequent and deadly jihadist attacks for 6 years. Security forces are struggling to stem the spiral of jihadist violence that has left more than 1,400 people and more than 1 million displaced since 2015. 1,400 people died. And then we head over to Ethiopia, and schools in Mekelle, the capital of Ethiopia's northern region of Tigray, have reopened 7 months after the raging conflict forced their closure. State-linked Fana News has reported some 32 public schools and more than 30 private ones have opened their doors to learners, the report says. The international community has expressed concern over the prolonged conflict that has killed thousands of people and displaced more than 2 million others. Some social media users have expressed concern about the reopening of schools, saying the security situation in the region was still volatile. And still staying with Ethiopia, and several areas in Ethiopia's northern region in Tigray are on the brink of famine. This is according to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. In a stark warning, he said the situation would only keep getting worse unless funding was increased and humanitarian access to the region was improved. The UN last week warned of a repeat of Ethiopia's devastating 1984 famine. Mark Lowcock, its humanitarian chief, told the BBC that thousands of people were already experiencing famine conditions in Tigray after months of conflict. The conflict in Tigray erupted in November when Ethiopia's government launched an offensive to oust the region's former ruling party, the TPLF, from power after its fighters captured federal military bases. And we head over to Cameroon, and the United States has imposed visa restrictions on people accusing of inciting violence in English-speaking Western Cameroon. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the U.S. was deeply concerned about the continued violence in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon, and Mr. Blinken did not indicate the number of identity of the people affected by the visa ban. He urged the Cameroonian government and separatist armed groups to end the violence and engage in a dialogue without preconditions to peacefully resolving the crisis. Cameroon's English-speaking region of Northwest and Southwest have been marred by violence since 2017, with separatists fighting to break away from the government dominated by French-speaking majority. More than 3,500 people have died and 700 others displaced since the onset of the violence, and that is according to the statistics provided by the United Nations. And we head over to Eritrea, and Eritrea's foreign minister has blamed the United Nations administrations that supported the Tigray People's Liberation Movement for the last 20 years for the current conflict in northern Ethiopia's Tigray region, adding that blaming Eritrea for the fighting was unfounded. In a letter to the UN Secretary Council circulated on Monday, Osma Saleh accused President Joe Biden's administration of stoking further conflict and destabilizing through interference and intimidation in the region, apparently to resuscitate the remnants of the TPLF regime. The TPLF led the coalition that ruled Ethiopia for nearly 30 years until Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed rose to power in 2018. Abiy further alienated the TPLF by making peace with longtime foes Eritrea as soon as he took office, and tensions were rising. Last November, Abiy sent troops in the region to detain and disarm the group's leaders, saying it was in response to TPLF attacks on federal army camps. Though he promised military operations will be brief, nearly 7 months later, fighting continues. Reports of atrocities and proliferation, and world leaders are warning of a humanitarian catastrophe. So that is the latest from the continent here in Africa. Thank you so much for watching, and please, maybe we have just a bit of a talk. All right. Okay, I see you all. A lot of you Biafrans, you're not very happy. Well, this is what the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, by the way, good morning. Good evening. I don't know where you're watching me from this afternoon. It's about 3 p.m. here in Nairobi. So if you can tell me where you're watching me from, I will be happy. And your thoughts on some of the news that I have read to you, not just what is happening in Nigeria or even in Cameroon. We say today the U.S. has raised concern with what is happening to the Anglophone region, the atrocities that continue to be committed in that part of Cameroon. So let me know where you're watching me from and what your thoughts over some of these stories that I have gone through. But this is what Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, is saying, that the reason why Twitter might stay banned for a while there in Nigeria is because the leader of IPOB, Namdi Kanu, this is his where he chooses to communicate when he wants to communicate and tell the world what is happening and criticize the government of Nigeria. Twitter has always been his tool of choice, and for that reason, the government of Nigeria, I think, now judging from how they've reacted and overreacted to the situation of deleting of President Buhari's tweet last week, which we've talked about, and it was not appropriate that President Buhari wrote or said such words as a head of state. But so after Twitter, deleted that tweet, he was not very happy. So they decided we are just going to ban Twitter, from Nigeria. And so he's saying, I think this is something, from judging from now what is unfolding, I think this is something that they've been meaning to do. Forget that, Buhari's tweet was deleted. I think they're just waiting for something to just a reason or an excuse for them to ban Twitter from Nigeria. Of course, it's temporary because they can't ban Twitter forever. So even as I started there with the news, yesterday the government met with some ambassadors of certain countries, of some Western countries in Nigeria, and ambassadors for, I think, was it the US, the UK, the European Union, Canada, I think they met. And so this is what they said, that they continue to support the freedom of speech. So their stand hasn't changed. I think after meeting with the Nigerian government, maybe the Nigerian government thought they would support, this move by them, because this has affected everybody that lives in Nigeria now. At Monday's meeting, U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, said the diplomatic community was firm in its position. And part of the statement read, we recognize that there are issues of responsible use of social media, but we remain firm on our position that free access to the ability to express oneself is actually very, very important. It is a fundamental, right, even according to United Nations Charter on Freedom of Speech. President Buhari, you know that because Nigeria has ratified that charter in the United Nations, and the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria said that you cannot. Nothing warrants what the Nigerian government has done by banning Twitter from Nigeria. So this, let me just read for you something else that I thought to be very ridiculous. So when the Minister for Information and Communication, Lai Mohammed, appeared on this BBC show, he said a couple of things. Outside of his saying the reason why they've banned Twitter is because Namdi Kanu uses it, to instigate and to destabilize the country. That is what essentially he said. But he also continued, because he was challenged about some pastors and some renowned people there in Nigeria who have continued to tweet even after that ban. So I'll just read for you a part of that information. Now, Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the Attorney General now, or the Federation, and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, will decide whether or not to prosecute the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, who continued with his tweeting. Remember, you can still tweet using VPN. You can still access Twitter using VPN, I think. And the founder and the General Superintendent of Deeper Christian Life Ministry Worldwide, Pastor William Kamui, as well as other violators of the Twitter ban by the federal government. Adeboye, that is Pastor Adeboye, in a tweet on Monday, had said that his church is present in over 170 countries. I don't know him. that pastor personally, but I see a lot of his followers, even the church here in Kenya. So he tweets to his followers across 170 countries. So the fact that you don't want him to reach his congregants in Nigeria, you cannot ban him from speaking to the rest of his followers across the world. That is what he's saying. The pastor tweeted on Monday, and he said his church is present in over 170 countries, and tweeting is in accordance with Article 19 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Access to information is a very important human, right. And hours later, Kanu also tweeted that his church has branches across 100 countries. These pastors from Nigeria have their mega. Even the one that died, may God rest his soul, the other day, was it Bishop Joshua something? I think he's renowned, across here in Kenya. I think he's come a couple of times, and across the world. So these people, not just them, but also pastors and everybody else across the world, they use this media to reach out and to speak to and to announce and to pass information to their followers across the world. And 5 continents, hence he can tweet from anywhere in the world. So he's saying the fact that you have banned Twitter in Nigeria, it doesn't mean I can't give the details of my account to one of my friends or whatever somewhere else in the world for them to tweet for me. So this Minister of Information and Culture was, challenged. You've banned the Twitter in Nigeria, but these pastors and other people still continue to tweet. And so he's saying that now the Attorney General will look into this matter. Really? As if there's nothing more important to do right now in Nigeria. You would think that the president and the leadership of President Buhari would focus on what is important. First of all, can they confirm to us if Shekau is dead or not? Because I've been waiting to hear if he's dead. That is where they should be focusing, their intelligence. They should be focusing their efforts if the leader of the notorious Boko Haram group is dead. They have not been able to tell us that. But now the things that they focus on, I'm telling you, I don't know where their priorities are there. And when asked specifically whether the government will prosecute Kamui and Adeboye for defying its Twitter ban, the minister said the Attorney General has made it clear that if anybody violates the regulation, that such a person will be prosecuted, and this is not about any particular person. It is in the realm of the Attorney General to decide who not to prosecute. Really? So this law that the government has put in place does not cut across. So Attorney General gets to choose, okay, so who do we prosecute for violating this silly Twitter ban that the Nigerian government has imposed on its people? So it is under his prerogative. Why? Why is it piecemeal? It sounds as if this Twitter ban is very targeted. And yesterday, as we were having the afternoon show, we saw the body that regulates media in Nigeria also warning the media houses in Nigeria to remove their Twitter handles in their Twitter accounts. And then do what? Where do you think we're going to get breaking news on what is happening in Nigeria? Twitter is quite critical in terms of dissemination of information, across the world. So if you cannot even understand the impact this has had on, like I said yesterday, even in businesses, there are businesses that entirely depend on Twitter for their survival. That is their platform. That is their marketing tool. That is where they reach out to their customers. That is where they carry out their businesses fully and completely. And how much that will even go to cost the Nigerians, government and tax and all that, because the end of the day trickles down and the government gets to benefit. So it's ridiculous, to say the least. And I think I told you here yesterday, and I'm repeating again, President Buhari needs to find good advisors that give him sound advice. So if you have people like this Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, because I've heard him speak on several occasions, and when he speaks, sometimes you want to stop and wonder, what? They could not find a proper Minister of Information and Culture. You're going to put this person here who, I don't know, but your choice. Let me just read a bit of your comments. I think I'll just go home. These Nigerian issues are just becoming a little too much. Let me know your thoughts on even the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, saying, you know what? The Attorney General will decide who or who not to prosecute, meaning that this ban is very targeted. This ban is very targeted because he was challenged. These leaders, these mega pastors, Pastor Enoch Adeboye and Pastor William Kamui, I'm sure you know them. He was asked during that interview on BBC that they have tweeted since the ban, last Friday. So what are you going to do about that? And he said he will leave that to the Attorney General to decide who or who not to prosecute. Really? So you're just gonna cherry pick, all right? I thought if it's a law, then it should apply to everybody. But from how this one is sounding, this is very targeted. I would say that the same way the tweet and what President Buhari said last week was very targeted and was a threat to a section of people in Nigeria that will be the Igbos and the communities that were involved in the Biafran war. It was targeted and it was a threat. When a president, threatens his own people, I think that was not the right thing to do, and then adding fuel to fire. Now you're just going to ban Twitter, and on top of that, you're just going to choose who you'll prosecute if they violate this ban. Ridiculous on ridiculous. All right, so let me just read some of your comments. And see what you have to say about this ridiculousnly that is going on in Nigeria. I tell you, it's even tiring, considering the amount of important issues that are presently, a threat to the livelihood and the existence of Nigerians. You're just going to spend your time on banning Twitter and focusing on things that are not even important, while you have important things, President Buhari and your administration, that should be concerned about. I told you here yesterday, my President Uhuru Kenyatta, Kenyans were going ham on him on Twitter. What he decided is, I don't know if a state house in Nairobi, they pulled down that account, and President Uhuru Kenyatta is now concentrating on other things that are actually important, for Kenyans, infrastructural development, across the country, and other things that actually are of importance to, the people of Kenya. He just pulled out. He decided, you know what, this is not even my place. Let me just go do what Kenyans elected me to do. He did not pull down Twitter from the country. Okay, that's how you behave. That's what you do. You don't throw tantrums like a 5-year-old because you don't get your way, President Buhari. It does not work like that. And as a leader, you're supposed to have, you cannot be temperamental. You cannot be reactive like that. It's very counterproductive. Okay. Adegu Easton, you're saying you're watching from Maryland, United States, and Moka, you're saying you're watching from Mozambique. Victor Nora, you're saying you're watching from India. And Starboy Ojugo, you're saying you're watching from Europe. And Chris Chukwe Buka, thank you so much for watching. Noble, is it C? Something like that. You're saying you're watching from the UK. And Abonyi Onye Dima, thank you so much for watching. Milad Chika, you're saying let the Nigerian government come up with the referendum. I'm not sure if you heard what President Buhari said last week on that tweet that had Twitter deleting. He said, as a lot of you who are agitating for this secession, he said that you're too young to even know what happened 54 years ago. He mentioned that 30-month-long war. You do not understand what happened. And so I'm meant to understand that the Biafran War, as much as it is a very important part of Nigerian history, it is something that is not even mentioned. It is something that is not even recognized by the government of Nigeria. It is something that is not even commemorated. People lost their lives. Atrocities happened. A genocide happened in this continent, in that country. And this is was a very sad period in Nigeria. And the Nigerian government refuses even to commemorate, refuses to reconcile the past with the present to find how it can charter a better future for its people. Okay, a genocide happened in Rwanda. We've seen President Kagame leading that country year after year to commemorate. And every time, even when you visit Rwanda, I think there's a site for it, a museum. So you go, you visit there. When you visit there, then you go back to your country, you have your head straight. You realize there's nothing good that can come out of a war, and a civil war for that matter, when a people decides to fight against itself. And so, but Nigerian government has refused. And this is a very integral part of the Nigerian history, but it has refused to recognize the events that happened, culminated between 1957 and 1967 and 1970, a 3-year bloody war that claimed a lot of lives. Okay, it has refused to do that. So I think this is a country that is just living under denial. You cannot sweep things under the rag. Not that kind of things. There are things you can overlook and say, we can move forward, but the things you have to look into, interrogate, consider, take your time, and see now how can we charter our way forward as a country out of what had happened. What lessons can we draw? How can we best address these issues? And that since then, to date, I think that region in Nigeria has continued to be marginalized. Since, remember, a lot of Igbos died from hunger. That was one of the key, weapons of that the Nigerian government was using during that time, withholding, food supply and any kind of humanitarian, help to that period during that time, and other people are just shot and died. So it's a very important part of Nigerians' history, and the fact that this period is not commemorated, I will not say celebrate, because you cannot celebrate human suffering and death, but it will be nice to know that we appreciate this is part of our history. This is what happened. So how can we reconcile our past to our future today and see how can we do better as a people moving forward? So you refuse to acknowledge that, but you want to pretend like everything is okay and everybody should be forced to be together. President Buhari, it does not work like that. And not just you, I think also the initial, leadership that was before you also did not take keen note on trying to talk about trying to find solutions to what has happened and what is ailing Nigeria. And as you look at Nigeria right now, I think it's on a tipping point. It's just a matter of time before things blow up. I know there are countries in this continent that are quite chaotic. They're ravaged by civil war, by bad economic decisions and poor governance. But Nigeria, the most populous country in the continent, Mr. President, sits on the top of that list. And that is not something that you should be proud of as a president. So instead of threatening, some section of the people in Nigeria, tell me where Shekau is. I want to know that. Okay? All right. Mwaka Okuchuku, you say, all right, thank you so much. Meanwhile, I appreciate your kind words. Okay? All right. Clinton, who is that? I think that comment has passed me. Habari asubuhi. That will be good morning. So if you want to say good afternoon to me here, it's about 32 minutes past 3 p.m. Habari is mchana. That is good afternoon, okay? But thank you so much for watching Komagok. Thank you so much. May I know where you're watching me from this afternoon? And so, anyway, so let's see how that will work out. A Nigerian, as we speak, is in talks with Twitter. So they're trying to... So what will the government do? Because now, will it reinstate? Of course, it will over time. I think it will. But that will be, with an egg on the face, I think. So I don't know how President Buhari will save face, because how long are you going to ban Twitter for? How long? Because even the government uses Twitter to communicate to its people. We all benefit. I get first-hand information on what is happening there in Nigeria from Twitter, breaking news and any other news, not just in Nigeria, but across the world. It has become a very important tool of communication. All right, so you cannot just do that. You cannot do that. And that pastor has reminded you, Pastor Adebayo has told you he is present in 170 churches across the world, and he's tweeting in accordance to Article 19 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So he's saying you cannot infringe on his rights to communicate. Freedom of information is paramount, and it is anchored in the United Nations Charter, which Nigeria is a signatory to. Okay? So hopefully tomorrow we'll wake up and we'll find Twitter is functional, is open, and the ban has been lifted in Nigeria. I hope so. President Buhari, this was a very poor oversight on your part, and your advisors misadvised you, as I think they always do. And maybe you need to find people who give you proper advice so that you don't make such irrational decisions. And now you're just sitting there thinking, okay, so now what do I do? Because eventually you'll have to reinstate Twitter back. Hopefully you'll do the right thing. Okay. All right. And the news, a statement by the United Nations, not United Nations, but United States, are raising deep concerns over the continued violence in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. The United States said we continue to call for both the Cameroonian government and the separatist armed groups to end violence and engage in a dialogue without preconditions to peacefully resolve the crisis. We know there was a national dialogue that President Paul Biya had organized in 2019 that achieved nothing, because the basis of that, dialogue was just flawed from the start. The issues that the Anglophones would have wanted President Paul Biya to address, he did not include that in the agenda and the things that he wanted solved. So we're having a problem, but you're coming in and you're not allowing me to express what the problem is. And the leaders of Anglophone region, as I've told you here before, are now serving life a time in the jail. They were sentenced to a lifetime in Cameroon. So even as this, national dialogue was happening, the people that Mr. Paul Biya was supposed to be talking to were not present on that table. So the government of Cameroon was just having a conversation with itself. So nothing really has been able to be solved until date. Atrocities and human rights abuses continue in that part of Cameroon. Economic marginalization continue. Schools have been closed. Our children from that part of the region do not go to school at all. And then you expect them to compete on the same level with the kids in the Francophone region of Cameroon, who continue with their lives as usual and their schools as usual. And you expect them to compete, the same level. I think it's very unfair. And schools should be reopened. Security should be guaranteed. And, people should be allowed to go back to their villages, because there have been cases where the insecurity is so rampant, and the government has increased the military presence, the police presence in the Anglophone region that a lot of times have been accused of the rapes that go on, have been accused of the banning of villages, and sometimes back the bans in a hospital. And there are reports that even the Cameroonian government has acknowledged that the military are the ones who perpetrated this heinous act. It's quite disturbing what is happening in Cameroon. So I don't know if these new sanctions, the travel bans to people who are involved in escalating this crisis, the US says how that will affect them. They've not given names, but they've said that they condemn those who undermine peace through engaging in or inciting violence, human rights violations and abuses, and threats against advocates for peace or humanitarian workers. So the situation in Cameroon, Anglophone region, is also still dire. The same case in Ethiopia. Africa seems to be in a crisis. And from what we are learning now from the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, the northern region of Ethiopia, that is the Tigray region, is now on a brink of famine. And when you look at the stories and what is really happening on that, another genocide is happening as the world keeps just looking and doing nothing about it. And Eritrean forces have accused of blocking aids to reach these people, and our people are just going to die of hunger, like what happened in 1984 famine. Like the same thing that Biafrans, that was the weapon of choice during that time. The Nigerian government blocked any aid to go to the Biafran people. So this is what is happening in Tigray region in northern Ethiopia. And The United Nations is saying this region is on a brink of famine. It is already, people already there are dying of hunger and other treatable diseases because they cannot even access any medical facilities. Those have been destroyed by the Eritrean and Ethiopian forces, and Eritrea has refused to remove its forces from that place. So it is a catastrophe that is happening, and the world is watching, and the world is complacent because African Union headquarters is in that country. So African Union is, I don't know if it can, has said nothing, has been quite reluctant in addressing the issue of the humanitarian crisis that is going on in the Tigray region in Ethiopia. So that is another sad story from the continent. Okay, and so, all right, so Eritrea anyway, that has been accused of perpetrating the atrocities together with the Ethiopian government in Tigray is now saying that the U.S. is the one that is stoking further conflict and destabilizing the region. Isaiah Afwerki, you know what you're doing in Eritrea, in Tigray. You know what you're doing. That is the president of Eritrea. You know what you're doing. So stop with the sideshows. How is the U.S. stoking, conflict and destabilizing that region? You know what your forces from Eritrea and those from Ethiopia are doing in the region of Tigray. Isaiah Afwerki, just stop. And just, can you remove your soldiers from Tigray as the UN has asked you to do for a long period now? And you continue to do that unabated. You continue to do that with impunity. It does not make any sense. Okay? All right. Thank you so much. Let me just read a bit of your... Emi Okoye, how can the Nigerian president be a cow? Okay. Anayo, Alan Walker, saying greetings here. Thank you so much. Omahi, Holiness Omahi, is that your name? You're saying Nigeria has expired. When was the expiry date? I need to know. James Chuku, you're saying Namdi Kanu is the only savior. Yeah, they're saying the reason why that Twitter will stay banned for a while is because Namdi Kanu uses it to pass out information to you guys and to destabilize the country. Namdi Kanu he loves Twitter particularly. That is according to Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed. He's saying I think that is the main reason why they were looking for an excuse to ban Twitter from Nigeria, because it has proved to be a very effective tool of communication, as they say, for Namdi Kanu and the family of IPOB. So he's saying, you know what, we're just going to stop you on your tracks. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to ban Twitter from Nigeria. But what they don't know is there are other ways people are circumventing this silly, ban. That's quite unnecessary, really, when you look at it. It's quite unnecessary. And eventually, the president will have to lift this ban. And then what? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Nonsok. You're saying you're watching from Biafra. And Tracy Diamond, you're saying you're watching from Italy. Chukwenedun Ozoma, you're saying you're watching from Malaysia. And Christopher, you're saying our freedom by force. Okay. Ohanusi Kelechi. Ohanusi, thank you for watching. Henry Okene, you're saying you're watching from Biafra. Okay, thank you so much. Akbar Sunday Emeka, you're watching from New York City. All right. Thank you so much. All right, very well. Thank you. I'm just going through some of your comments here. There are a lot of them, so I may not be able to read all of them. And Donatas Mecca, you're saying anyone who is still talking about one Nigeria or still believing in one Nigeria just asked for the reasons for supporting one Nigeria. Okay. Ime Obio, you're saying Nigeria did not have a president. What we have is presidency. Okay, so there's a difference, I guess. Emma Abel, you're saying you're watching from UAE. It's evening there. Yeah, I think it's almost evening here. Thank you for watching. And Okoli Donatas Odinaka, your names are just this long. Sometimes it's difficult for me to pronounce, so bear with me. Please, Nigeria don't have army or police now. They have is repentant Boko Haram. And I'm waiting for the Nigerian government to confirm to me if Shekau is dead, because there have been reports, and I saw one of our papers here, the Standard newspaper, just part of it, somewhere here, saying that Nigerian Boko Haram leader Shekau is dead. But even the Nigerian government has not come out to give us a very clear, information whether Shekau is dead, because they're relying. I don't know if it's ridiculous or funny or just, I don't know. But this, I think, makes me question our Nigerian intelligence. They're relying of an information, an audio recording from the leader of ISWAP, the Islamic State of West African something. He is the one who is caught in this video. So this is the only evidence they have from this other terrorist organization that they've killed, Shekau. So that is the only form of evidence they're relying to tell us that Shekau is dead. Can your intelligence get their act in order and confirm to us if Shekau is dead, so that we know, we know that is one bad person down. All right, but the government has not confirmed to us if that is the case. So we'll just wait and see, because Shekau has been announced dead several times before, only for him to be realized that he's still alive. So that's why even the U.S., I think 2 weeks ago, said it still cannot comment on the supposed death of Shekau, because it's still not sure until they're able to have concrete, evidence that the leader of Boko Haram is actually dead. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. I think I have to go now. Thank you so much, Emi Okoye. I love you back. Thank you for watching. David Stevens, thank you so much. You're watching from Minneapolis in Minnesota. And Tracy Diamond from Italy. Chugwemeka Uzoma from Malaysia. Thank you so much. And it's evening there. Tugochuko Mwanko, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. All of you this afternoon. Aston West, you're saying Ambazunia must be free. From Paul Beer. I don't know. Paul Beer is just tired. I don't know why he does not want to just go enjoy his retirement. He's already tired already. James B. Toro, you're saying AU and AGAD are toothless. Thank you so much also for watching, James B. Toro. Thank you for your time, and thank you all of you for your time. I have to go now because my time is up. But tomorrow, Alexius Okubweza, you're saying this is the 11th time they told us that Shekau is dead. Okay, so we need to see his body at this point, although they say ISWAP says he detonated himself. Is that a ploy to just for us not to know whether he's actually dead or not? And then, Boko Haram itself has not come out to say anything, so I'm really not sure. So this is the 11th time they're announcing that he's dead. Okay, so let's just wait and see if the government will confirm if that is the truth. Okay, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I appreciate and I love you for watching. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Bye-bye for now.
Today is a great day for the continent of Africa. Today is a great day that marks the historical inauguration of our African unity, the unity that the founding fathers of this continent fought for, the unity that we needed and that we need up to today. It is that unity that propelled us to become independent. It is that unity that gave us the founding fathers to unite 57 years ago to form what we call Organization of African Unity, that later on became African Union. Today in Africa, so many things have taken shape. It is unfortunate that today, this year, 25th May, the Africa Day, is being celebrated under the clouds of COVID-19. The continent of Africa has struggled since the formation of African unity 57 years ago. The founding fathers of this great organization, Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Jomo Kenyatta, Nyerere, Ahmed Sekou Toure, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Milton Obote, America Bro, Patrice Lumumba, Samora Machel, and others who came later on to take up the struggle. Robert Mugabe, Gaddafi, those who struggled to make sure that this continent liberates itself from the colonial yoke, takes its political stand on the world stage. Ahidjo of Cameroon. These were great men of this continent. But today in Africa, on a great day like this 25th, how many people recognize this day? Why has the African Union, our union, that took over from the Organization of African Unity, why has it become a diluted, eroded institution? If the founding fathers of this organization woke up from their graves today and came to Africa to see what is happening on the continent littered with conflicts, a continent littered with countries not speaking to each other, a continent disunited, a continent destroyed by external forces that have taken Africa hostage, that they have taken the African Union hostage, that have created us the suffering that we see in Central African Republic, the suffering we see in Cameroon, Amazonia, the suffering we see in South Sudan, the suffering we see in Mogadishu, the suffering we see in Libya today. What has happened to this continent? I would like anybody sensible in Africa today, including Dr. Muhammad Faki, to tell me, including President Ramaphosa, to tell me how we ended up getting two men in one country fighting over a country that is already dead. Fellow Africans, those watching me, I don't hit lightly. I hit where it matters. When anybody touches Africa, I will not miss my words, because this is where I was born. That is where I have the spirit of Nkrumah, of Sekutore, of Jomo Kenyatta, of Nyerere, to speak the truth. I have no regrets. I can perish. But the French have captured our organization. The French have bought this guy you see on the screen. He receives handouts from the French capital and looks the other way when Africa is bleeding. I'm giving you the real material now. How this man has destroyed us. How Faki from Chad, Jamena, the tall man from the Fulani kingdom of Jamena, has destroyed. That's why he has looked a blind eye on the Igbos and the Amazonians, because he doesn't want to disintegrate the state in Chad. But that is not a problem. We don't want states to disintegrate. But to help the people of Amazonia by bringing their motion to the African Union. Viewers, if you look at the problem that we have in Democratic Republic of Congo, it is the French. If you look at the problem that we have between Rwanda and Burundi, it is the French. If you look at the problem that we have between Uganda and Rwanda, it's the French. If you look at the problem that we have in Mogadishu today, And let me tell Kenya to understand me. It's the French. It has come. They have paid the bills for us to fight over the islands of oil. Viewers, let's give hope to our founding fathers. Let's give hope to the future generation. Let's be united as Africans. Together, we shall rise and shine again. Thank you.
Towards realization of the grand vision of better infrastructure, the government is soon commissioning operations of the Port of Lamu in June 2021. 3 of the 32 berths of the port have been completed, and it's expected that Lamu Port alone will handle up to 24 million tons of cargo annually when fully completed. Lamu Port construction is part of the $25 billion Lamu Port, South Sudan and Ethiopia Transport Corridor project, also known as LAPSET. The transformative Lamu Port project was officially launched by the Government of Kenya in March 2012, and its construction continues in earnest. Commissioning of the Lamu Port will play a significant role in the next phase of Kenya's socio-economic growth. The soon-to-be operationalized port will continue to modernization of Kenya's infrastructure and boost communication and transportation, which are some of the key pillars of Kenya's dominant position in Eastern Africa. The Government of Kenya has committed to expanding Kenyan road and rail network to better open the country for trade and also to cement Kenya's position as a regional transportation and communication hub. As the Government of Kenya strive to bring the country into a new realm of increased economic growth and raise the living standards for the population, many infrastructural projects have been commissioned. President Uhuru Kenyatta has remained instrumental in championing for a new chapter of Kenya's infrastructural development, and that is why the mega LAPSET project is gradually becoming a reality despite the challenges the project has faced. LAPSET is one of Kenya's flagship long-term infrastructural development programs under the country's Vision 2030 and the infrastructural development pillar under the Big Four agenda. Through its multiple infrastructural components, including the 32-berth Lamu Port, regional highways, rails, oil pipelines, and refineries, as well as resort cities along the corridor, the mega project is projected to become a major contributor that will take Kenya's annual gross domestic product, that is the GDP growth, to more than 10%. The LAPSET project will not only become one of Kenya's revolutionary infrastructural development projects in the country's recent history, but also contribute to realization of African Union's vision of integrating the continent for regional trading by 2063. The government of President Uhuru Kenyatta has remained committed into bringing the LAPSET grand vision into a reality. The project bears heavily on the president's ambition to modernize Kenya's infrastructure to cement Kenya's position as transport and logistics hub in East Africa and the Horn of African regions. To hasten the realization of the benefits of the Lamu Port initiative, the government has been upgrading and constructing roads that connect the port as the regional hinterland encompassing Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Uganda. The port will also connect Kenya and the regional hinterland to some other 300 ports globally.